both of you are talking, we'll facilitate that too as well. Okay.
And we're
But thank you
live.
so much. Thank you so much, Brantley, for coming through. We are so excited to have you. So excited to really share like all this knowledge with the community. So thanks so
Oh
much
yeah,
again.
no, of course. And I'm talking to Mike, correct? Mike,
Yes,
Michael.
Yeah, you're
that is
talking to
me.
Michael. Yeah, which is Jose
What do I
Millegan.
I'm
call you?
you can call me Mike, you can call me Jose, you can call me whatever you want, man. Moon Poppy.
Okay.
Nah,
Whatever
nah, you
works
can
for
call
you.
me Mike though. That's fine.
I'll call you. How about Miguel? There we go.
Miguel. I like that. I like that. I
Love
like that. All
it,
right, all right, all right, all right.
Miguelito.
We'll let some people kind of get in and stuff.
All right, I'm gonna turn my. I'm gonna take my camera off, but I'll be here. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right, homies.
All
Let's
right,
go. Let's
brother.
do this. Let's have a great show.
Yeah.
Is there a tweet I can retweet right now? That you're starting right now?
Let me get that to you.
All right.
Is there a tweet I can retweet?
The last tweet that you retweeted, the one from Lord Meow.eth,
Here,
because I know a bunch of people
I just sent it
from.
to you now.
Okay, perfect.
Didn't let me put the card and my link in the same thing, so that was kind of strange.
Do you want the card, Brantley? I can send you the card really quick too, if you want.
It's all good. It's easier to retweet. All right, cool. I think we are good. All right, all right. So, welcome, welcome. We are live with the Director of Operations over at ENS Domains, Brantly Millegan.
Yes, Mike. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Of course, of course. Welcome, welcome. I think to start off, just in general, I think that there's been an absolute huge commotion going on with NFTs. People have been all sorts of interested in all sorts of new things going on. Um, Recently, we had a good friend of ours on the show, kind of speaking more from the art perspective. But now we're gonna have you here to speak about what's known as the Ethereum name service.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess first things first, can you maybe give us a little bit of an introduction or like maybe like a breakdown of what ENS is?
Yeah. So ENS stands for the Ethereum Name Service. If you've seen .eth names on Twitter, that's part of ENS. You can also import in DNS names into ENS as well. I can talk more about that later. Um, and ENS names they can do three main things. So the first thing is it's your portable cross-platform Web3 username and profile, which is really powerful. So in the Web2 model, you um, you have a username and account like siloed for each service. And in the Web3 model, it's not that. So in the Web3, you own your ENS name and your Ethereum account, and you bring that to each service that you use. So this is really powerful. So if you have an ENS name and you set it up right, you see it on Etherscan. It represents you on Snapshot, on Uniswap, on CryptoVoxels, on Avagachi, on Sushi, on all these places throughout Web3. Then the second major use case, which is the one that most people actually think of usually when they think of ENS, is just simplified crypto payments. So you can store not only an Ethereum address, but a Bitcoin address, Dogecoin address, Solana address, any address you want in there, and then you can receive any asset on any of those blockchains to your name, which makes things much simpler. Then the third thing is decentralized websites. So basically, you store your website files on some sort of distributed file network like IPFS. You point it with your ENS name, and you have a decentralized website. And there's thousands of these now. This has support in in like browsers like Brave and Opera, and in the MetaMask plugin, and there's gateway services as well. ENS is integrated in well over 300 services, which means it has more integrations than all other kind of blockchain naming attempts over the years, several times more than all of them combined. So ENS has been doing really well.
Sure, man, and yeah, congratulations. I've been seeing sorts of, I guess, like statistics on uh, the amount of people registering these names, and I think in the last couple months they've just been absolutely blowing up. So
Yes,
so
all
really,
on chain on Ethereum layer one, even with high gas costs.
even with high gas costs, we like those,
Yes.
right? So yeah, you were mentioning something about Web 2 and things like that. I thought it might be fitting that I wore my America Online t-shirt.
That's awesome. That's like throwback. I was on AOL back in the day.
Yeah, there you go, right? Aim chat. So
Absolutely.
I think we should also maybe roll it back. Where are my manners? What you drinking, Brantly?
I've got some green chartreuse and some 7 Up here.
Ooh.
So, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Modelo, cause it's Modelo time.
Oh, good.
Cheers, homie.
Amazing.
All right, so I think you've kind of given a little bit of a rundown on what the ENS platform is, and I think it's actually it seems like it's something that could be extremely useful for any kind of brand, any kind of business, really just even at the personal level too. It's easy to. I think one of the easiest use cases or the easiest sells on it is that you can use that to easily connect all your wallets together. I could easily receive all my crypto. Most coins are supported by sending things to, say, for example, in my case, it would be moonpoppy.eth. Yours would be
Good
Brantly.
name.
Thank you, thank you. Yours would be Brantly.eth. Um, so I think something.
Yes.
Go
Can
ahead.
I talk about that real
Yeah,
quick?
please, please.
So, I mentioned this just briefly earlier, but I think this is really important to get in people's minds about what ENS is capable of. Okay, so we have .eth names, of course. We also have full DNS namespace integration. What that means is if you own a domain name on traditional DNS, okay, you can import that name with the same suffix into ENS. So, for example, I own bcmilligan.com on traditional DNS. I've imported into ENS, so I also have bcmilligan.com, not .eth, but .com on ENS, and I can set it to receive any cryptocurrency. So, like for example, you can send Dogecoin to bcmilligan.com, and it's using ENS on Ethereum in the background.
Sure, and we love the doggy coin.
Of course, yeah. Go Dogecoin.
Sure.
Love it.
Okay, so I think yeah, it's definitely an important distinction to make that it's not only .eth, right? .eth I guess is really just in name. Um,
Yeah. So .eth is .eth names are native to ENS, so they only exist on ENS. They're not on traditional DNS, and because they're blockchain native, they have the full benefits of the full security benefits and like self custody and censorship resistance. Names are imported from DNS still can do a lot of the same things, but they don't have the full capabilities because they're ultimately reliant on this outside system. So if you're okay with that, you can use a DNS name on ENS. But if you want the full security, self custody benefits, you should use a .eth name.
sure, sure. Um, Okay, so then I guess the next thing would be, is this a full-on replacement, like the scheme that you kind of spoke about earlier, where you could maybe host content or like a website on a decentralized storage space, kind of like IPFS or something like that, linked with your ENS name. Does this replace the internet as we know it?
Um, so good question. Not not anytime soon. Okay. So a key thing that we want to do with ENS, and really I do with blockchain stuff in general, is look, ENS it would not be capable of replacing traditional DNS right now, mainly for scaling reasons, and that's a problem for blockchains in general. But and also I would say DNS, what it does, it actually does extremely well, and it's like the spectacular engineering achievement that is scaled up to billions of users, and it's it's done really really well. With ENS, we're focused on things DNS doesn't do. So things like your Web3 username, crypto payments, decentralized websites, those are like unique use cases. Yes, technically ENS can also do anything else that DNS does. That's all true. That's all possible. But it's like DNS already does that well. And yeah, ENS may eventually replace it for that like long term. We're talking like, maybe like 20 years from now or something like this. Blockchain scale and ENS gets way better. It just eventually replaces it. But to start off, we're focused on things that DNS doesn't do. So I would say ENS is more of like a blockchain complement and extension of traditional DNS at the time being.
Sure. Okay. And so I think that's great too that you mentioned kind of like a 20-year outlook. So if it happens anytime sooner, you just
that would be spectacular. But yeah, and another thing I'd say is ENS, we're thinking for the long term. So ENS is not, it's not a product. We have no company. It's not like a company owns it. The core team works for a nonprofit that doesn't actually own ENS. We're just like the de facto biggest contributors to it. But many people, even outside our core team, contribute to it. The core things of ENS are all self-running. We really view it as community owned. It's like a public utility, and we want this to be a new protocol of the internet.
True. Yeah, and I think it's really cool what you guys are doing, at least in the spirit of, I guess, kind of like what crypto likes to champion, like these themes of like decentralization and things like that, that you're not this super centralized party that kind of is controlling everything. It's kind of what you're saying. It's a community, this group effort to try to roll this product out.
Exactly. And I think that's just a key thing to understand, that ENS really is this really decentralized, nonprofit new protocol of the internet. It's not just like some product we're selling.
Sure. So I guess the first thing would maybe remind any folks that are maybe registering ENS names and things like that. Just register them for like at least like 20 years or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, so the reason for that, so let's talk about that. So with .eth names, we do have a cost scale to time registered. Just to be clear, that money goes to an Ethereum community multi-sig. So far, it's all unspent, actually, except for a donation to Gitcoin grants. They did a $700,000 donation to that. But we'd like to further democratize, have the community input and have control over how that money is spent, because it's owned. We think it belongs to the community. Now, but we do have a cost scale time registered though, for long-term namespace health. This is actually very important. ENS names need to cost something, because if they didn't, early people could have just registered like, a 10 million names, and now that some other people like owns all the names, and now they can just be rent extractive middlemen, right? We don't want that. That'd be bad. We want ENS to be something that people are actually using. So by cost scale time registered, that means that every year that you want to have it, you have to pay something scaled to that number of years. Now with .eth names, you can pay ahead as many years as you want. So if you're like, you know what, I know that I want Brantly.eth for life, pay for 100 years, and then that's it. I mean, you have it for 100 years. It's your lifetime, basically, right? You never have to pay again. But if you're like, I want to try out this name. So a lot of times people get names because like, oh, I might start a company or a new project, or I mean, this is very common, right, with domain names. You don't have to pay for 100 years. Just pay for like 1 year. It's much cheaper. And if you don't use it, then just let it expire and get released, and then someone else can use it. So that's really critical, that if someone's not using a name or is not getting value out of the name, there needs to be a mechanism for that name to get released back into circulation so someone else can use that name. Also, blockchains have this unique property that things can be lost, right? So like, let's say if a name was owned by an account, and let's say it was just by default forever or something like this. If somebody lost their private key, or if they accidentally sent it to a wrong address or something like that, that name would just be lost forever, right? This would not be useful. So by making names eventually expire, if nobody does anything, and get released back into circulation. That's actually very positive. I know many people who have great names that were originally registered by squatters early on that eventually decided, I'm not able to sell this. They let it release, and then this person gets who actually is using it. That's very positive. So we're really focused on maximizing use.
Sure. And yeah, so I guess two things there. One, so as far as squatters and stuff like that, that is kind of something that I am seeing a little bit. I'm like a mini squatter. I got like a couple cool names that I thought might be fun. But every time that I think of like something that's like, oh, that's super clever, I'll go maybe check to register it, and you can actually look at the wallets that hold some of these names. And yeah, I've seen a couple of it. I call them ENS whales.
Yeah, yeah.
That you see people that really have like thousands and thousands of names already, but it's cool that you've described like a mechanism where at least like you're kind of they do have to pay a
They have to
decent
pay
premium.
something back to the community, right? So if you're gonna have 1,000 names, you're paying thousands of dollars a year to the community. So one, at least you're paying something, that the community can then decide what to do with. And then two, if they can't sell, they may eventually decide, you know what, this one's not selling. They release it, right?
Sure.
That's
Sure.
what we want.
Yeah. And then by the way, chat, I think Habibi.eth, if I'm not mistaken, that is registered already.
Somebody's asking us in the chat here.
uh, sure. You can read the chat, yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, Habibi.eth. Yeah.
Okay, so another thing too, you mentioned about community. So one thing that I do see that's really cool, one, you're on Twitter, you're super available, and not just that, but you're hosting spaces regularly where you're asking for, well, I mean, like some of them, you're it's like more on the educational side, but then also you're kind of putting it up to community maybe to give you some cool ideas.
Exactly.
And things like that. I think it's really awesome to see. I think you had got an idea from a really cool dude, limes.eth.
Yeah, I love
Um,
lines.
yeah, yeah. Do you mind talking about that idea that you guys were pushing with that? I think it was with the pictures and things like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So just big picture on this. Like I said, because ENS, it's open, it's decentralized, it's community owned, and we're always looking for ways to get the community more involved. Um, that we want people to be involved. Yeah, we have the core team that just has to like push the project forward because that's true of anything, right? But many times some of the best contributions or best ideas come from outside the core team. And yeah, I was in a Twitter Spaces, and this guy limes.eth that has a lime for his picture. he had like 12 followers or something like this, but he was like in the Twitter Spaces and we were chatting. I mean, everyone's equal in a Twitter space, right? And this seems so obvious now, at least to me. But he said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if ENS basically offered people like a very cheap like starter NFT avatar profile pic?" Okay, so there's this whole phenomenon of people get NFT profile pics and then they like put them on Twitter, right? Well, we are actually just now in the process. We haven't announced it totally yet, so this is an alpha leak, but I'm like working on the blog post. I was working on the blog post and I stopped to come here. The blog post announcing that you can now put an NFT that you own, set that as the avatar for your ENS profile. Okay. And right now it's kind of raw. It's like it'll be manual in our current manager, but we're working on a redesign of our manager that'll make it much, much easier. And so you can set that. So he had this idea of, well, hey, if you get an ENS thing, but you like don't have an NFT profile pick yet, wouldn't it be cool if ENS gave you the chance to like pay, a small gas fee, but otherwise for free, and you like generate one that's like a starter one? And I was like, well, I think that's actually a great idea. In fact, I think we'll probably do this, although it'll probably take us like 6 months or something from now. So it's not going to happen soon. And if we did that, I think that could end up being like the first NFT profile pick of like maybe even millions of people. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's so the idea, I think, especially with all this, right? It's screaming, everyone's kind of screaming adoption, right? Everyone's sitting, they're patient with their friends, their family, their grandmothers, saying, hey, you got to check this thing out. And I think paving the way and just making things easier, be like, oh, not only do I get this .eth name, but now I might also get my first NFT with that. I mean, that's
Exactly.
hmm
And then it's like a starter one, and then if you get more advanced and you, I don't know, buy a cool cat or a crypto punk or whatever, you can always then change it to that. But it like gets you started, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I guess speaking of that, you are the owner of a CryptoPunk.
I am, yes. Unfortunately, I only have one, so I don't think I can ever sell it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's pretty. It's because it's pretty interesting. Like, it's obviously fetching this insane amount. Everyone is trying to
Yeah.
get in and things like that. But at the same time, it's almost like this. It's probably one of the coolest things that a brand could have right now. In this uh, NFT space. You have a CryptoPunk. That just means right there, like you're an OG.
But like I said, I'll brag a little bit. I also have one Sox token, so that's the Unisox thing, which is spectacular. But again, the problem is I only have one of these things, so it's like yeah, I could sell out and like make some money, and that's cool, right? But then I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
you know, it's like
it's
always get more than one, people, because then if the price goes up to absurd levels, you can capture some value, sell one, but you can keep one for yourself. That's the
yeah.
problem. I can't do that. Yeah.
It's definitely interesting, and it's cool that you value it in that sense because I think the way that history is gonna look on all this, like for example, I think I was in a spaces yesterday and I was talking to a guy, and he's just like, oh, like I know that my daughter when she's in high school, she's gonna have like a digital art history class and stuff like that, and they're gonna cover some of these. They're definitely gonna cover some of these projects and things like that, just because like I mean, at this point, this is really a movement. I think some people like to call it like digital renaissance or
Yes,
whatever, but
I think so.
definitely right. So yeah, a couple things: get more than one, at least two of
Yes.
whatever project if you can't afford it.
Well, and as far as I'm concerned, so yeah, let's talk about. I would like to use the word cultural revolution, but unfortunately, the Chinese communists ruined that term. But we're having a revolution in culture,
Okay.
and that's happening right now because we have this new type of way for people to buy and sell art. And this is like a perennial problem. How do artists make money of the starving artists, blah blah blah. And it's not that every artist can make money in NFTs, but it is like a new way of unlocking value, unlocking new types of markets. This has led to an explosion in creativity. I think we're just at the very very beginning. This is like super beginning. And because that's my thesis, like I think first of all, I think NFTs are gonna take over all property in the world. Like your house deed is gonna be an NFT, your car registration is gonna be NFT, everything's gonna be an NFT because NFT technology is much broader than art. But even on the art front, I feel like we're just at the beginning. And so given that, I feel like things like punks and socks are like crazy, insanely like historically valuable things because they're like the first of their kind, right? So like a punk, you can't beat first. Like you can never, nothing else can ever replace first because it's the first. It was the first NFT profile pic that really got going, that got the whole thing going, and that is like insanely valuable to me. And then same thing with socks. The socks was the first like merch token back in 2019, back when Uniswap was like a small project. Now Uniswap's the number one DApp in the world, and other people have done merch tokens, but you can't beat first.
No, exactly. Just you speaking of that kind of that way, it's kind of like you're the owner of like cave paintings almost, like in like this,
Right.
analogous way. Um, yeah. So again, yeah, the space is absolutely blowing up. I think
It is.
valuations
It's
are
insane.
blowing up across the board, and things like that. So did you pick up the punk off of secondary? Were you like walking around like New York and like you scanned a barcode? How can you tell us a story about that?
Oh yeah, I got off secondary. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't get it for free in 2017. I wasn't smart enough. I was around in 2017. I remember people even talking about CryptoPunks. But of course, I just like didn't get it because I wasn't smart enough. I got it later on secondary. Um, but Yeah, I just got my Ring thing here saying that somebody rang our doorbell.
Uh-oh. Is everything okay?
Oh, everything's fine. It's just our
Okay,
neighbor
yeah,
here. Just
all
saying
right,
hi.
all right, no worries. All right, so CryptoPunks, um,
Yeah, and can I say something else about
yeah,
the Renaissance thing? Because I want to make this clear. I want to make my perspective clear on this. I think that NFTs are a genuine breakthrough in technology. Like I said, I think they're going to take over everything. That doesn't mean that we're not also in an NFT bubble, which I think we also are in. So this is how new technologies often go, right? So there's some sort of breakthrough. A core number of people realize that it is a genuine breakthrough. It leads to a massive amount of hype, but like it's like over speculation too quick for the new technology. I think that there will be an NFT crash. I think most NFT projects will eventually become worthless. Some will survive. Some that exist now will survive. Other viable ones will come later. Um, so, but it's like I think NFT technology is going to long term be very big, but you often have like over speculation early on. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
oh, that makes complete sense. I mean, people are jumping onto these things that so these bubbles are cool as long as there's still someone to buy from, and like things like that or whatever. So as long as the awareness continues to spread and stuff like that, I think we could still see like modest appreciation and things like that with things going. But you're definitely right. There's definitely a lot of folks that are maybe dumping a bunch of money into this, thinking that this is going to go to trillions of dollars right now. And from what you're saying too, like the functionality of all these things, I mean, we're so at the beginning of this that we haven't even seen like some of like the coolest things to come out of this to really enable and use these technologies yet. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But
So
yeah, I fully expect us to have another multi-year crypto bear market. So what I mean by that is that historically crypto has been on like about roughly 4-year cycles. This has happened multiple times. It's not 100% perfect, but it roughly lines up. So where you have a year-long bull market where everything's going gangbusters, and usually what that does is it hits the news, huge numbers of people, new people come in, right? Because they're excited about it, because there's all this excitement, and then it peaks, and then you have like a 3-year then bear market. Usually there's like a 1-year long slow correction, like painful correction. It can even be like 90-95%, and then 2 years if it's just like not much is happening. So there's 3-year bear market, and then the process restarts again. So for example, in 2011 there was a bull market for Bitcoin. Then it had about a 2-year bear market. It wasn't quite as long. 2013 you had this incredible insane bull market for Bitcoin, which then peaked in early 2014, and then you had a 3-year bear market. You had another bull market in 2017, which was insane. That was so incredible. And then that was really led by Ethereum and the whole ICO craze. Then you had another 3-year bear market with 2018, 2019, 2020. And then kind of late 2020 and then early 2021, we've started this new bull market. We're definitely in a bull market right now, and everything's going up. It's insane. It's fun. New people are coming in. We have the DeFi last year, NFTs this year leading that. Um, my expectation, I could be wrong. I cannot predict the future. I think personally we have maybe 3 months left. Things will, I think, go to insane heights in the next 3 months. I could be wrong. It's just my thesis. Like things are gonna hit all-time highs. Everything is gonna be incredible. But then that will be the height. So like in the next 3 months, things will go up so much. People will start saying it's a new paradigm, and things are gonna keep going up forever. That means you're at the top, and then we will probably enter another multi-year bear market.
yeah, and no, that makes complete sense. Kind of my thesis is really that things go bananas into December, and then I should probably kind of watch out. We've definitely seen it. I think most recently we saw it in 2017 with like the whole ICO craze that things went absolutely crazy into December. Everyone's going home for the holidays, telling their
Correct.
friends, family about it and stuff like that. This one's maybe a little bit different because everyone kind of already is home in a lot of cases. I have a bunch of friends that are working from home and stuff
That's true.
because of COVID and stuff like that. But yeah, typically this October quarter four is historically usually bodes really well for the cryptos and stuff like that. Um, so pretty much like my signal is like when my grandma asks me to, you know, buy her an NFT, I'm probably gonna sell like 90% of whatever I got, just
Yeah,
cause.
and by the way, bear markets are not bad. Actually, bear markets are amazing. Bear markets. I want to say something about bear markets. First of all, bear markets are great because all the fair weather people, the charlatans, the scammers, the get rich quick people, they all leave because it's not happening anymore. Okay. You're left with people who are more like committed, the builders, people who actually believe in it, actually are doing real substantive things. So the community it contracts, the community gets a little bit smaller. It's bigger than the last bear market because we gained some new people from this bull market, right? But it's smaller than the height of the bull market. Um, and then that is when the fortunes are made. Okay. Because just from an investment standpoint, bear markets are the best time to buy. That's when you load up because you're convicted that there will be another bull market. Okay. Number one. Number two, if you're actually building a company or a protocol or something, that is when the foundations of the future empires are laid. So let's talk about Uniswap. Uniswap is insanely incredible DeFi protocol run by these guys in their 20s. They're like billionaires now or something like this. Okay. They launched that in the middle of the last bull market in 2019. Let me tell you, prices were down 90%. There wasn't, not all the hype people had left. They were there building and they built over years. And yeah, now a bull market's come and they're reaping the benefits, but they were there in the bear market, right? And same thing in this next bear market is um, put your head down. So make sure you capture some value during this up market so that you can survive the bear markets. So capture some value, make sure you can survive, but then put your head down and build with conviction. And that is the foundation, like I said, of the empires of the future bull market.
Sure. I love the way you put that. Yeah. You definitely have breakout traders and stuff like that kind of coming in, flocking in, while things are, going up every other day and things like that. But yeah, those bear markets are definitely time. They give you time to build a position. You're not dealing with hordes of folks or whatever saying, "Hey, when are you guys gonna do more marketing? You gotta push this product out or anything like that." There's not really any pressure there.
Yeah, you don't make the big bucks buying Bitcoin at 50,000 and selling it at 80,000, right? That's good. That's an incredible return, right? You make the big bucks when Bitcoin's at frickin' $3,000 and then you sell it. That was went as low as almost $3,000 in this last bear market. When you buy then and then you're maybe selling at 100,000, that's many times more return. But like Ether in this last bear market, guys, it hit a low of $80. That was just like a year and a half ago, by the way. A year and a half ago, Ether was $80. Anybody in the world could have done it. Few people did. But the people who did are doing very well.
Yep, they're doing well enough to buy some crazy pieces. I think I saw Cosimo de Medici bought a Fidenza earlier for I think 2,500 Ether. So
Wow.
yeah,
Incredible.
yeah. I think that's one of the highest prices fetched so far, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, okay. So maybe we should preface some of this market talk with the fact that this is not financial advice.
Good point. Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about. We're drinking alcohol. Don't listen to us.
Yeah. Okay. But then. All right. So. One thing I wanted to talk about too. This most recent. The whole Facebook thing. I think it was kind of interesting timing that I announced that I'm gonna be talking to you, and then not like 2 seconds later, all of Facebook, all of Instagram, all of WhatsApp goes down. That's day one. That's Monday, and then on Tuesday, Twitch got got absolutely shredded in the sense that literally everything, all their information, a bunch of stuff that was on like not supposed to be seen on GitHub and like stuff like that got leaked. I guess one question I have, does ENS fix any of that?
Good question. So, as far as I can tell, I'm not an expert on these things. What happened with the Facebook thing, it actually was not DNS that had a problem. It was some other networking problem that originally at first looked like a DNS problem, but it was actually a layer lower where they made a mistake that had catastrophic cascading results. So in that case, no, DNS wasn't the problem there. ENS wouldn't have fixed it or anything like that. Where ENS can have advantages over DNS would be things like self-custody. So with DNS, no matter who you are, even if you're Facebook or Google, there are several layers of trusted third parties involved in you having your domain name and you managing your domain name. And those are all potential failure points. Now, I'll say in the DNS world, I mean, these are very, very competent companies and services that almost never have problems. They have tons of redundancy and things like that. But with ENS, you don't even have to depend on these other third parties. So it eliminates failure points. Something, though, that I do want to mention that's true about ENS, but it's really true about crypto in general, though, is that, yeah, you don't have third parties as possible failure points, but you are a potential failure point. So this is something I say on Twitter Spaces all the time, which is that with cryptocurrency, with blockchain, with ENS, all this stuff like this, the technology works really, really well. And the technology that's not where you're probably going to have a problem. The weakest point in this chain at this point is you, potentially, right? So not having to rely on trusted third parties and having self-custody means you have to take responsibility. So if you are responsible, then you have very low risk, right? You're not going to fail because someone else messed up, but you could fail if you mess up. So you have to have responsibility. You have to have good OPSEC. You have to have good security for your ENS names and for your NFTs for your cryptocurrency.
Sure. And then actually, so there was one thing that I had seen. I think it was in a previous interview of yours, where you kind of basically you can take an ENS name, you could set it all up, have it pointing to whatever you'd like, and then you could send it to a burn address.
Correct.
Um,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, so I'll say on that. You can have ENS names owned by DAOs. You can have ENS names owned by multisigs. And you can even have ENS names owned by nobody. So the way that works is exactly what you said, where you register a name, you can set up the records, and then just send it to an Ethereum address that nobody controls. So the ENS name still exists, the record still exists, it still resolves, but literally nobody is capable of changing the records. So that would be like if you literally want these records to never change under any circumstance and for very, very high security reasons, then you can do that. That is not even possible on DNS from a conceptual standpoint based on how DNS is set up, but that is possible on ENS.
Haha, gotcha, DNS.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think I want to open this up. Chat. We're gonna maybe get a list of Q&A. If you guys have any more specific questions that you'd like to ask, I'd like you guys to throw them in the chat now. And then while we get those questions going, I kind of want to do maybe this is gonna be the rapid fire round. So Brantly, welcome to the city of Miami. We're gonna be driving. We're gonna be driving, cool. And I'm gonna do just a little bit of just kind of quicker questions. All right. So, first question: the dumbest ENS name you've ever registered?
I've registered?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've done like demonstration was like Brantly as the man 123.eth or something like this.
Okay. The name that you're most proud of?
I mean, Brantly.eth. I think that's pretty awesome. I had my first name. I'm proud of that.
Okay, cool. I love that. Do you use a hardware wallet?
I do not disclose how I hold my cryptocurrency because obscurity is one of the best types of security.
Sure, cool. How about
basically just on that topic real quick, this is important. the less you tell other people about how you hold your cryptocurrency, the harder it is for them to ever steal from you.
There it is. Okay, cool. Um, the Have you ever been rugged before in the NFT space?
No, I guess not. I don't know.
Hey,
No.
good for you. Love that.
I mean, I'm not super deep. I'm not like jumping on every new NFT or anything like that. So I haven't set myself up for the opportunities.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Who is the most notable person that you know using ENS?
Ooh, Vitalik does. I mean, Vitalik's pretty. I mean, he's a rock star, and he's been Vitalik.eth on Twitter for since 2019 at least.
Sure.
I mean, there's other amazing people. I mean, like, I think is it oh man, is it Josh? Is it Josh Hart? Josh Hart, the NBA player, he has jhart.eth. Ben
Nice.
Horowitz, who's the Z and H16Z, Andreessen Horowitz. He's one of the best VC investors ever. He's Ben Horowitz.eth.
There you
There's a
go.
wide range of people out there using ENS, which I think is just super cool.
Yeah, no, that's definitely really awesome. I guess maybe to follow, who's one of the coolest people that you've had the pleasure of meeting in this space?
Well, I have met Vitalik.
Yeah, okay. Vitalik again. I love it.
And I'd say I feel lucky to work with Nick Johnson. So Nick Johnson is the creator of ENS and the lead developer. I'm our director of operations. We work closely together, but it's his project that he created, and he is not only a brilliant person, he's also a very nice person. So Nick Johnson's incredible. He's Nick.eth on Twitter.
Sweet. Okay. How about do you have any what's one of your favorite NFT projects?
Uh, I mean, like we said, I have a CryptoPunk, which I'm glad that I was able to snag one of those at one point. Um, I have this. So like I knew about NFTs for years, and I just didn't really get it. I had a breakthrough for me conceptually in NFTs in early 2020. I remember I'd gotten an Oculus Quest because everyone was getting them because we're going to COVID, so we're gonna do virtual stuff. I was like in some random room with this guy named BitBuzz who is still in the NFT space, and I was like, explain NFTs to me. So he was trying to really explain it to me. He kind of converted me on it, so thank you, BitBuzz. And I went to OpenSea and I bought my first NFTs, and I got this one by my very first one I ever got. So okay, first of all, I just want to say that era, there was very few people doing NFTs. It was like maybe a few thousand in the world, and it was all like drug NFTs. This is the drug era where it was all like I look like I'm on drugs that I made this NFT art, which is fine. Okay, that's fine. It's art. Now there's a wider range, but at the time I found one at least I thought was like, okay, this looks presentable. It's by this artist called Obsium, Abxium, who I thought was doing some cool stuff. I bought one of his pieces called like Untitled Colors, and I have a big print of it on my wall in my office, which is kind of cool. I'm proud of that.
Nice. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. That's
So
really
good job,
awesome.
Obsium.
Good job, Obsium. All right. Do you have a favorite meme?
Favorite meme? I mean, Rick will roll is classic. I mean, it's amazing me how long that meme has gone on. Um, I don't know the GM meme. I mean, that's kind of
Ooh.
funny that it's gone on as long as it has.
I
It's yeah.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, it's kind of peaked past its cool era, but you know, it's still cool.
It's a fun way. It's a fun way to connect with folks and stuff like that. I feel like it's just acceptable. No one's really gonna badmouth it or anything like that.
Well, to me, what it symbolizes, it's actually not just a dumb, funny meme. It actually symbolizes a real, serious truth, which is that the blockchain industry is an online first industry. It did not start, in Silicon Valley or something like this. It's online first. And so like all of us, wherever we live around the world, I live in like I like live in a suburb of Greenville, South Carolina. Okay. There's no blockchain people around me really. There's not many. And people live all over the world. And what we do is we wake up, we get online, and then we're in our community online. So it's like when you're saying good morning, it's like, yep, we all got online and we're saying hello to each other. I mean, like that actually is like a deep truth about the industry.
Oh man, I love that. Okay, cool, cool. So that's it, at least as far as the rapid fire. So we'll go through and maybe pick up some questions. I have one. Can Mr. Milligan share his thoughts on helium and longfi in general, if any?
Um, I don't know what either of those terms mean. If helium is some other blockchain, then it's likely a piece of crap. And longfi sounds like something that's again a piece of crap term that's probably just trying to trick noobs. But
Okay.
I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it sounds to me.
Oh man, there you
There is a
go.
long tail of piece of shit projects that like are out there trying to trick noobs all the time. And all this, yeah, I don't know what helium is. What
Yeah,
is helium? I
I
haven't heard of it. It's
to be
probably crap.
to be honest, I have no idea. And this is another reason kind of why you're saying bear markets are actually a good thing.
Yeah, what
Right?
is this? HNT. Let's just look here. Explorers. Oh yeah, it's its own blockchain. It's a piece of crap. It's nothing. Don't do anything with it.
There you go. There's your answer. So next, let's see what we got. What we got. We have someone that pointed out that depositcontract.eth is owned by the burn address. Um,
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
So what we did, we actually got deposit contract.eth. We had it point at the deposit contract, and then we burn, and then we registered for like 100 years or something, and then we burned it, the ownership of it. So nobody is even capable of changing that record. So you can depend on deposit contract.eth pointing to the contract address for depositing. Just to be clear, do not send your ether to deposit contract.eth. It's a little bit more complicated to deposit your ether for staking. But if you ever want to confirm that you're using the correct contract, you can check deposit contract.eth.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Um, I guess next would be I kind of wanted to show. Let's see
Somebody
if I
says,
have.
"Did you buy followers?" Because I don't know you at all. No, I do not buy followers.
Yeah, I have no idea actually where our friend B Dilla is coming from. He seems to be very confused.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get something up really quick.
I
Just
see
a moment.
validator.eth just said socks, and yes, I support that.
Yep, yep. Just a moment. Jeez, I'm having a bit of a boomer moment right here.
It's okay.
It happens, right? Um, why can't I see that? Um, hmm. Let's see. So I actually saw a meme, or not a meme. I guess it was kind of a little bit of an instructional deal. Why I don't know why this isn't coming up at all. I gotta change something here. Let's do window capture again. Add a new source. And let's see. There we go. Alright, jeez. That was
Somebody
strange.
said busterhymes.eth. Yeah, whoever owns that, please deliver it to Buster Rhymes because I think he's interested in ENS. Okay, yeah, you got this new meme.
Yes. Alright, so actually came up on Twitter from a user named Alex D. Fan. His following's actually pretty small, but his goal is really just to, help kind of educate folks on what ENS could really be. So what we're seeing here is this is obviously the Power Rangers. They're coming together to form the Megazord. Um, you can have a website. You can have your new fancy CryptoPunk, if you will. You can have your portfolio. You can have wallet address and socials. These are all linked together uh, with the Ethereum name service. I thought this was a really good. I just thought this was a really good way to maybe just like on a shorthand way, just kind of explain this to folks.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was funny for me because I think I was probably 6 years old. I was a 6-year-old boy when Power Rangers, the very first season, released, and it was like exactly targeted to my demographic. And so yeah, no, it just takes me back. I mean, were you a Power Rangers guy growing up?
Oh, yes, definitely. Actually, my previous name before all this was my previous Twitch name was twitch.tv/Ongazord. So it was like a
Oh,
mix
cool.
between my last name and a Megazord. So yes, I was very much into the Power Rangers and stuff like that.
Is there?
um,
Could you bring up another thing if I told you what to search for?
Go for it.
Can you search on Twitter the words leak alert ENS?
Yeah,
And there's like I have a tweet with some screenshots of this manager redesign we're working on.
sure. Let's see. Oh, yep, got it. Let's bring it back. Here we go.
Amazing.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, this is in development. It's honestly, I just want to give people expectations. It's probably gonna be a few months before we launch this, just because we're working on this while we're working on other things that is just gonna take some time. But basically, the point is that um, ENS has become like the de facto identity standard of Web3. And it's funny because ENS was not created to be an identity standard. It was created to be kind of just something else, like a naming system. That was like the model, the analogy. But it's in fact actually we realized that a naming system actually is an identity system, and in fact it's being used that way. And so we are in the midst of redesigning our manager completely from the ground up. Um, yeah, from the ground up around this concept. So, like for example, right now, if you've ever registered a .eth name, you do one transaction, you wait a minute, and then you do the second transaction, then everything's set up for you. Well, in the future, in the new manager, during that 1 minute, we're actually going to prompt you to start filling out your profile, like all this information. Like choose an avatar for your NFT avatar, your NFT header image. By the way, NFT header images I think are like the next big thing, and then like other like social profiles and your nickname and your location, all whatever else you want to put in there. And then when you do that second transaction, it will set up your profile. Boom, right, right away. It'll all be set up. So we're going to this like profile analogy basically.
Sure, sure, and I love it. And this right here is kind of an example of in your like basically your ENS profile right here.
Correct. So I mean, these are like wireframes. This is not like a workable DApp
No,
right
no,
now,
no.
but
Sure, sure.
yeah,
This is
this is
sweet, man.
and
This
things
looks
may adjust from here, but this is the vision of like where we're going. And then the idea is, so you set this up, and then any DApp you log into can grab any of this information, and like you're again, like I said, you're bringing your profile with you to each service rather than you setting up a profile at each service. That's a difference in paradigm.
no. It's a really important it's a really important difference. This is really cool. And it's interesting because I would say that the ENS domains as is right now is already really easy to use and things like that. I do note that I've had definitely some folks I've seen people kind of have a couple of confusions, I guess, with like some of the names and stuff like that. But these are things that you're available. We can ask you questions and things like that. I guess one question I have is um, maybe wrapping it up a little bit, but can why should someone in the audience, or maybe what can I tell some of my friends to kind of get them to move over to ENS?
Good question. I'd say because it's your Web3 identity. Web3 is the future, and pick the identity that you want for the internet.
Sure, sure, I love that. So, I
Yeah,
guess
can I
go,
just riff
please,
on that
please,
idea
please.
real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, go
Let me
for it,
riff
go
on
for it.
that. So I think ENS has a genuine shot. Nothing's a guarantee, okay, of course, but I think it has a genuine shot at becoming the identity layer protocol of the internet. Like we don't think of it as like ENS its thing. No, it's like the identity layer of the whole internet. Meaning like, um, like with DNS, everybody uses DNS, but not everybody has a DNS domain name because like not everybody needs a website or something, right? With DNS, everybody needs a Web3 identity, or I think everyone will need that. So my expectation is that everybody on the planet theoretically will have an ENS name. Okay, that's like 7 billion people. But ENS is even bigger than that because ENS names can be used to also name like smart contracts, DAOs, government agencies, organizations, churches, tokens, NFTs, AIs, robots, devices, all these things. Because it's smart contracts, it can be even owned and controlled by like robots and by software. It doesn't have to be controlled by people. So like, I think ENS is not only like all people on the planet, it's actually like all of those things. So like this might sound crazy and just take it with a grain of salt. But like to me, it's not crazy to think that we could have like 1 trillion ENS names in a few decades. Just think about like if there's 10 billion people on the planet, that's like 100 names per person. And to think of like devices, government agencies, organizations, all these things like this, to me, it's like easy. 1 trillion names.
Trillion names. We're gonna hold you to that.
And just to be clear, I don't mean that there's gonna be 1 trillion like normal .eth names. That's not gonna happen. But I think my expectation is that most names will be subdomains. They're like given out for free, like off chain, and there's different ways that we have coming out that will allow for that. So I think most will be like subdomains that they have no fee and they'll be free. But yeah, I think it's gonna be like everything.
Sure.
Looks like we have like 2 questions here also I want to share from Nutmuff.
Oh.
Nutmuff said here, so is ENS kind of like a link tree? And then Nutmuff also asked, is there a Bitcoin equivalent?
Good questions. So is ENS kind of like a link tree? It's much bigger than that. So Linktree is just like a website you can easily set up with a template. I mean, that's all it is, which is fine. I mean, it's useful. ENS is like a decentralized identity system, which I guess you can have a bunch of links and other data, which then you can use as like your online profile. So it's decentralized and it's user control. And then is there a Bitcoin equivalent? No, there's no naming system that runs on Bitcoin because Bitcoin's not designed for that. ENS runs on Ethereum, but ENS can serve Bitcoin. So you can put a Bitcoin address in your ENS name records and you can receive Bitcoin payments.
Sure. And then I guess before our time's up, do you mind explaining us maybe like a day-to-day kind of what you're doing as the director of operations for ENS domains?
Yeah. So I mean, I get up, I check my phone, it's funny because of course crypto never sleeps and there's always somebody awake. So for example, like Nick Johnson, I mentioned, lead creator and lead developer of ENS, he lives in New Zealand, so he's like on the other side of the planet. So like, I'm not working, but he's working. So I wake up, I start going through messages and things like this. I work from home in an office. I'm on Twitter a lot. And Twitter is important because it's like I'm interacting with the community. I'm learning what other people are doing. I'm able to spread our message and get feedback and things like this. Twitter is not a game. Twitter is critical. Twitter is one of the most important things we do. I'm emailing people. I'm chatting with our internal team. I mean, I don't do coding, but like I help develop our strategy. Like, what should we be building? What new features should we be adding? I help deal with our money. That type of stuff. I'm, interview new people. I do Twitter Spaces. I try to interact with the community a lot. Yeah,
Awesome.
It's funny. I would say it's in some ways it's like both very exciting and high stress at the same time because there's so much to do. Like the problem in Web3 in general and for ENS specifically is not that we don't know what to do. There's too much to do. And there's so much happening and it's happening all super, super fast, which makes it like a very exciting thing to work in. But also it can be kind of stressful because it's moving so fast all the time and never stops. So you have to be very careful to like take breaks, slow down and things like that. Or else, you'll like hurt yourself or something.
Sure. Yeah, man. Well, I guess I just want to thank you, for coming on by, spreading the good word of ENS. Hopefully, some folks, got something out of this. You answered a bunch of our questions and things like that. And yeah, man, I just really appreciate how open you are. I appreciate what you're doing for this space. And I'm just so excited to see where all this is going. So, again, man, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This
Of
was
course.
cool. It's fun.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Peace out. Okay. So, again, that was Brantly Millegan of ENS Domains. Next up, we have a couple things here. First off, we'll go through our driver segment. Here, I have a good friend of mine, Stella. She is a psychedelic artist who has worked with the likes of Alex Gray. She's done a lot of work with him and his wife, Allison. And basically, well, first, maybe we let this piece speak a little bit for itself. Oh, jeez. There's got to be a better way to show this, but hey. She's studied under the likes of Amanda Sage as well, basically at the Gray's place. This is available right now on Foundation. It's got a reserve price of 0.25 Ether. So, you know, if you want to collect from arguably a really special artist who's pushing this whole kind of healing message through psychedelics and things like that. I highly suggest you check this out. That is Stella Stryzowska. If you type in Stella STRZ, this will come up. And yeah, again, I think this piece really speaks for itself. And I'm just so excited to see where she's going to be going in this space. So please do check her out. Next up, we got another piece. This one, so again, for anybody that may or may not know, this piece right here by Stella is available on Foundation. That is a reserve price of 0.25 Ether, right? So that's on the Ethereum blockchain. Next, we're going to be going over to Hickatunk to see another artist. She goes by Andromeda Dragon. She's another artist from down here in Miami. And you can actually collect this piece here for 6 Tezos. It is a collection of 10 of 10. Andromeda Dragon, she is kind of paints a little bit more feminine, kind of fantasy vibes. Again, that's Andromeda Dragon. You can pick her up on Hickatunk. That is the Tezos blockchain exchange. And then just a moment before we get ready for a word from our sponsors. Okay, do you need to travel? Are you sick of certain COVID restrictions at large airlines? Well, I present to you WheeloJets.com, your premier private airline for anywhere you might like to go in the world. They're offering all sorts of deals. They're going to Milan, they're going to London, they're going to Paris, they're going to Pittsburgh. Anywhere you want to go in the world, please, I recommend that you check out WheeloJets.com. And if you would like a more personalized contact, please reach out to Mark.WheeloJets at Mark.WheeloJets on Instagram. And then, yeah, otherwise, I just want to appreciate folks for stopping on by. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. This is just part of a series that we're working on to kind of just educate folks about the NFT space in general, ENS names, why some of these things might matter to you, and just to share some of our friends and family's art. So again, this has been Jose Mugre, otherwise Joe Dirt. um, really appreciate anybody who's stuck it through, and thank y'all. Appreciate you. Oh, and by the way, this will be available on YouTube if you need to watch this, rewatch this, or anything like that.